So first of all, thank you guys for the huge support I got on the video about no longer working for trade ideas. I appreciate that very much. If you missed it, just go back 2 videos on the channel, check that out. Just amazing support. I'm excited to really get into it next week and start pumping out more content. But just really just want to take the first few seconds to say that. Now, when it comes to wrapping up the market this week, I think I can do so with 2 charts. So this is going to be a fairly short video, but I'm going to take some time explaining this, kind of what's going on and what we're seeing, because I think this applies to crypto. I think it applies kind of everywhere. So we're going to start taking a look here at the S&P 500. We usually start with Bitcoin, but we can, right? I can show you guys, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. Nothing's really happened this week. We're still battling back and forth with this $100,000 area. If we can get well above it, then that's obviously going to be bullish. If we break below and fail, that's going to be bearish. I could see this going on for another little while, where maybe we get to 105 or 110 and then down to 90, and that could occur. Again, I still own some Bitcoin, full disclosure, but I'm certainly not bearish on it. This just seems like digestion. Now, speaking of, kind of looks the same as this a little bit, right? Where we've got this 610, 68, 606, whatever you want to call it, around this zone, where we keep kind of fighting back and forth in the S&P 500. Now, for those who don't know, S&P 500 is the largest 500 names in the US market, and they are weighted by how big they are. So a name like Tesla is going to be way bigger than something like Nike or Disney. And the larger the company, the more effect it has on the index. So what happens is you get a really good look at what the overall market looks like, because you want your biggest guys to have the biggest effect. If Apple's down 30% and Netflix is up 20%, it's a bigger deal than that Apple's down 30%. It's a larger part of your economy, it's a larger part of your market, right? Now, when you get something where this is holding up the way it is, again, you can see it did absolutely nothing this week at all. And then you take a look at something like RSP. This is what this happened in a couple weeks. So this is the same 500 stocks, but it doesn't have that cap weighting. Every stock has an equal weight. So this is more or less the average stock in the market and what the average stock looks like it's doing. So you can see the average stock in the market had a pretty bad week, whereas some of the largest names out there did okay. Tesla being a perfect example, right? So this Tesla chart moving up is going to pull up that index a bit, where most other stocks moved lower. So it's one of those markets. My video last week was talking about how the average stock is in trouble, and that's going to continue to kind of play through here until we can get some sort of bottoming or some sort of support in this average stock. What you're going to notice is that the market isn't going to look that bad because it's holding up very well, but you're going to get individual names that are not doing so well. So if you're looking at your performance or your portfolio and it doesn't look so hot this week, and then you're looking at the market and you're saying, well, the market held up this week, this is showing you exactly why that's occurring. So just keep in mind, this is a pretty unusual pattern. Usually you don't get much deviation between the two of these. You can, but usually you don't get too much. Usually they move somewhat together, and the times that they don't, you might have some action to keep an eye on. So now I've just overlaid. The line here is the S&P 500, and this is the RSP. Usually you see, hey, they start to move together pretty good in most cases, and then we have this deviation going on here. So this is going to resolve in one of two ways. The S&P 500 is going to move lower, or the RSP is going to move higher. So we're kind of in wait and see mode. Which of those is going to happen? Is the average stock going to recover, or is it going to start to bring down the larger names that are out there? That's what I think we need to look at. Now, as always, what I'm going to do is when the market's closed, we're going to run the reports over at StatsEdgeTrading, where there's going to be 30 algorithmically picked names. I'm going to be interested in the revision of the mean ones and the pullback ones, because specifically the pullback names are ones that have gone up this week, and we're looking for little pullbacks in the next week. I think that's going to be a good hunting ground, because anything that was up this week is going to be relatively strong. But just understand that, right? Most people, they only look at the S&P 500, and they'll say, "Hey, it was a pretty okay week for the S&P 500. Why is my stock bad?" This is where you want to look to say, "Okay, the average stock didn't do that well this week. So if my stock held up at all, it's probably doing okay."